is that every teacher is divided, has been assigned few topics. So one of the topic that is being assigned to me is about the chemistry and metabolism of carbohydrates. Listen, your videos are not visible to me. So the moment the voice stops coming, somebody let me know. Okay? Is it fine?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. The topics that are assigned to me are the chemistry and metabolism of carbohydrate, lipids, and proteins. So first of all, try to understand that the topics that I am going to discuss with you would be just the chemistry and part of the carbohydrate, the chemistry part of the lipid, the chemistry part of the protein, and the total enzymology, the clinical enzymology, the diagnostics of enzymes, the structure of an enzyme, the functionality of an enzyme, the whole enzymology we are supposed to discuss. Plus, just the chemistry of the macromolecules, that is the chemistry of the carbohydrate, the chemistry of a lipid, the chemistry of a protein. So today we are beginning with one of the competency, that is your BI 3.1, which we will just focus on the chemistry of a carbohydrate. So starting with the objectives that are supposed to be covered today is that first of all, we are supposed to understand what is the basic biochemical definition of a carbohydrate. How do we define it? Firstly, then we need to classify them, and classification that too accurately. How we are supposed to accurately classify carbohydrates. Then we are supposed to understand and know few of the examples of carbohydrates. Then what is the basic function of a carbohydrate? Whenever a carbohydrate comes into our mind, we quickly jump to the fact that it is a basic energy fuel. But besides acting as an energy fuel, it has number of other important human functions. Now, we are also supposed to describe what are the different properties of monosaccharides and disaccharides that could be exploited and that are used by our system. Specifically, when we talk of monosaccharide, it's the isomerism that is very important. So monosaccharide is associated with the isomerism, and its isomerism is important because some of the monosaccharides, because of the presence of their isomers, are used in the clinical settings. So these are the objectives which we are supposed to cover today. Now, by definition, carbohydrates sometimes are confused as hydrates of carbon. But remember, this definition is incorrect because there are a number of hydrated compounds which are present as hydrates of carbon, but all of them, they are not carbohydrates. So whenever you are supposed to define a carbohydrate, remember, you have to state its definition as it's a polyhydroxy, aldehyde, or ketone, or any compound that if you hydrolyze, you get such a compound that which acts as a polyhydroxyaldehyde or which acts as a polyhydroxy ketone. So hydrates of carbon are not always carbohydrates. Now in your books, there are a number of topics that are related to carbohydrate which are given. If you follow Vasudevan, if you follow Harper, even if you follow Lippincott, all the definitions, all the topics are not there in your syllabus. So even if you're not able to make notes through this PowerPoint presentation, because chalk and board teaching is something which is very different, then also on your part, what you can write down are small points that you need to follow through your book. So that will be helpful to you. So definition is important. One or two mark question is asked. What is the definition of a carbohydrate? So you need to correctly state its definition. Now we are saying that they are polyhydroxyaldehyde or they are polyhydroxy ketones. So aldehyde and ketonic group you must be aware of because you have already gone through your chemistry classes. So this, if you are having COH at the terminus, it's an aldehyde, and if you are having C double bond O in between, it's a ketone. Now, what are the biological importance? Why is it important to study a carbohydrate? So why we are supposed to study carbohydrate? There are many different types of carbohydrates. Number one, as we already know that it's a source of energy, and around 4 kilocalories per gram of carbohydrate per joule of energy is being provided by 1 gram of carbohydrate. So this becomes a very good source of energy. Why carbohydrate is talked of? Because fats are also a compound that provide you with the energy. Then proteins, we spare the proteins here, but fats have high energy content as compared to carbohydrates. Still, whenever it comes into your mind, the source of energy, the basic source of energy is a carbohydrate. The reason is that they are present in very hydrated form. So whenever your system requires energy, the instantaneous source of energy would always be a carbohydrate. Fats needs to be metabolized. They are very hydrophobic in nature, so you have to mobilize them. Then you have to metabolize them. So it takes time. Any problem? So whenever instantaneous energy is required, the basic first source of energy to your system would always be a carbohydrate, and that too, if it's a monosaccharide, it will quickly enter into your cell, follow the process of metabolism, and it will provide you with the energy. Then it acts as a storage molecule. So these are few very important functions. Storage macromolecule means that if you talk of a human system, it's the glycogen. Glycogen acts as a storage macromolecule. It's a big molecule, so it's said to be a macromolecule. If you talk of the plant system, you have different other compounds like celluloses are there. They are stored there. Then you have other macromolecules also. But when we are focusing to the human system, so we are talking of glycogen. So glycogen is a carbohydrate. It's stored in the liver. It is stored in your muscles. It is some of the component of glycogen is also there in the kidney, but that part is only mobilized. That is only used when the system is under starvation. So basically it's your liver, then your muscles that provide the storage macromolecule. Then comes the third function. It's the structural component. How the carbohydrates are there present as a part of your structural component. See, your small sugars, like your monosaccharides, they provide energy. Still larger, the oligosaccharides, they are there. Again, they are digested. They are taken up by your intestine. Again, as a form of a monosaccharide, they will be present in your blood. But you must have heard about a carbohydrate that is known as galactose and xylose. When galactose and xylose comes, we usually talk of its dietary component. But these are the two very important monosaccharides that join together to form a larger monosaccharide that forms the structural component in the form of either glycoprotein, which is first of all a protein, then small carbohydrate attached to it, or a proteoglycan. So human system has proteoglycans as a major structural component because these are big carbohydrates. They are the part of your membranes. They are the part of your extracellular matrices. So they provide strength to the system. So they are also present as a structural component of your system. Then we have very important function, a protein sparing action. Anybody who could unmute and tell me what do you mean by protein sparing action of a carbohydrate? Any one of you? What is the literal meaning of protein sparing action? Are you hearing me? Am I audible to you? Just unmute
Yes,
and yes, okay. So what do you mean by protein sparing? देखिए स्पेयर करने का मतलब होता है छोड़ देना, और ये कार्बोहाइड्रेट का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शन है. प्रोटीन स्पेयरिंग एक्शन, ये सारे पॉइंट्स अपनी किसी कॉपी में लिख लीजिएगा क्योंकि दीज पॉइंट्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शंस एंड दे आर आल्सो आस्क्ड इन योर वाइवा एज वेल. तो सिर्फ एनर्जी बता देने से अभी नहीं काम चलेगा. तो प्रोटीन स्पेयरिंग एक्शन का मतलब होता है कि प्रोटीन को छोड़ देता है वो. स्पेयर करना है छोड़ देना. Protein sparing action means that if your system is adequately supplied of carbohydrate, then your system won't be deprived of energy. And when your system is not adequately supplied of carbohydrate, then what will happen? In order to supply energy, your muscle protein would be broken down. And when your muscle protein would be broken down, then the amino acids would be diverted for the metabolism to provide energy, which is not a function of a protein. A function of a protein is to form an enzyme. A function of a protein is to form an actin or myosin or different immunoglobulins. So, if the system is adequately supplied of carbohydrate, what will happen? The proteins would be spared. Spared for what? Spared to do their own function, not to go for the metabolism and provide energy. So this is a very important function of a carbohydrate, that it spares protein. Protein को वो छोड़ देता है कि भाई तुम अपना काम करो, मैं अपना काम करता हूँ. This is protein sparing. Then it also acts as sweeteners. Now, when we talk of sweeteners, we have natural sweeteners like glucose is very sweet, fructose is very sweet. Nowadays, there all of you go for high fructose corn syrups are there. Then there are different medicinal syrups which are available. Then you have Coke, cold drinks. They are all sweeteners. They are very sweet. They provide calories to your system. Some of the sweeteners are such which are carbohydrates, but they do not provide calorie to your system. So they are artificial sweeteners. They stimulate your taste bud. They tell you that you are consuming something which is sweet, so they add palatability to the food. Palatability मतलब खाने में जायका देता है वो. So they are sweeteners, but they are artificial in nature. They don't provide energy, but they add taste to your food. They make your food palatable. So few examples of artificial sweeteners which act as carbohydrate are, like, for example, saccharin, saccharin, saccharin. Then we have ACE sulfame, ACE, Any idea about aspartame? Anybody who have heard about aspartame? Have you heard about aspartame?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do you think aspartame is an artificial sweetener? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. It is a artificial sweetener.
But
It
it is not carbohydrate.
It is a dipeptide of aspartic acid and glycine, I think.
Yes, it's aspartyl phenyl alanine ester, but it's not a carbohydrate. So aspartame is a peptide. We are talking about sweeteners which are carbohydrate. So you can sulfame and cyclamate. These are sweeteners which are artificial, don't provide calories, and they are carbohydrates by nature. Remember, aspartame is not a carbohydrate, it's a peptide. Now, another important component, another important function of a carbohydrate is they act as dietary fibers. अब हमारे पास 6 functions हो गए और 6 functions अलग अलग हैं. What do you mean by dietary fiber? Dietary fiber means that they are long carbohydrates. They are partially or not digested by your intestines. Now, what they are doing is that they are there to provide the substrate for the growth of your natural flora, a very important component of your intestinal part, that is the natural flora, aids in digestion. So they are providing the substrate for the growth of natural flora, one thing. Second thing is that the dietary fibers, they have the capability of holding water. So they make the stool soft. They aid in the mobility of intestines and they prevent hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids का एक आम term होता है piles. So if the diet is rich in fibers, then they prevent piles or hemorrhoids. तो ये 6 function आप अपने copy में लिख लीजिए, and all the 6 are different. So every time saying that they provide energy, this much energy, they go through metabolism will not help you out. So you are supposed to mention all these 6 different functions of a carbohydrate. Now, we classify them as monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. Some of your books may be having monosaccharides, then disaccharides, then polysaccharides. That classification is not incorrect, but properly if you want to classify, you have to write down mono, oligo and polysaccharides. Why disaccharide is written is that among the oligosaccharide, it is only the disaccharide form of a carbohydrate that exists in our system as a pure carbohydrate. Rest other trisaccharides, tetrasaccharides, then pentasaccharides, they are present in combination with either lipid or in combination with the protein. So they are not present as a pure disaccharide form. That is the reason some of the books state as monosaccharides, disaccharides and polysaccharides, and that too is correct. Now monosaccharides are those compounds which cannot be further hydrolyzed to give you a carbohydrate. Oligosaccharides up to 10 monosaccharides and polysaccharides more than 10. Now if you look here, this is the basic structure of a monosaccharide that is given here. This one, and this is a polyhydroxy. Poly मतलब बहुत सारे, polyhydroxy aldehyde, एक aldehyde और ketone, and ketone नहीं है. It's a polyhydroxy, बहुत सारे hydroxy groups, aldehyde होगा या ketone होगा. That is a monosaccharide. So monosaccharide is supposed to have this long carbon backbone. It's a structure of a glucose that has been shown here. Then it has a functional group, an aldehyde. Then it has an OH group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 OH groups are there. So it's a long carbon chain with an aldehyde group and number of hydroxyl groups. Now, one of the example is a glucose. Glucose is a monosaccharide. Then among the oligosaccharides, the example given is here is a sucrose. It's a disaccharide. And among the polysaccharides, you have many examples, but one of the example that is given is an amylose. It's a part of a starch. Amylose is a polysaccharide, amylopectin is a polysaccharide, cellulose is a polysaccharide, glycogen is a polysaccharide. Similarly, when you talk of a disaccharide, you have lactose, you have maltose, you have trehalose, and sorry, not trehalose, you have cellobiose. So these are disaccharides. Disaccharides are formed when you join two monosaccharide residues. Now, when you start with the monosaccharides, we further name a monosaccharide by the number of carbon atoms that are present in a monosaccharide. The simplest monosaccharide has 3 carbon atoms. There is no carbohydrate with greater than 3 carbon atom. None of the carbohydrate is there, less than 3 carbon atom. So we don't have a carbohydrate with carbon atom equal to 2, or we don't have a carbohydrate with carbon atoms equal to 1. We start with carbon atom equal to 3 and we can go on. And the commonly occurring monosaccharides in our system, in the human system, are up to 7. So here, if we are having number of carbon atoms as equal to 3, then we say that it's a triose. Now see, triose is a monosaccharide. But disaccharide, tetrasaccharide, trisaccharides, they are what? They are oligosaccharides. So naming has to be understood. Tetrose, 4 carbon. Tetrasaccharide, 4 monosaccharides. So O's are written for this O's word. This is written for the indication that it's a carbohydrate. So when you are writing erythrose, say for example, and if you are saying erythrose is a carbohydrate, so this means that you are writing your name like my name is Safia and I am Safia. This is something which is very absurd. So when you are adding O's, it is indicating itself that it's a carbohydrate. So don't write erythrose is a carbohydrate. It itself tells you that it's a carbohydrate. Then among the monosaccharide, it could be an aldose or it could be a ketose. For an aldose, the naming system, say follow this thing. Ribose, it's a pentose. It's not a pentasaccharide, it's a pentose. Ribose is a pentose. Ose is written, so it's an aldehyde. Ribulose, ulose is for a ketose. Xylose, aldehyde. Xylulose, a ketose. So by name also you can follow whether it's an aldehydic sugar or a ketonic sugar, but sometimes this thing is not followed. Like for example, in case of glucose is a hexose, but the keto form of this sugar is a fructose. Now we talk of an isomerism. In terms of monosaccharides, the isomerism could be of 5 types depending on the functional group. You have an aldose sugar, you have a keto sugar. Then depending on the orientation of the OH group, whether it is rotated towards the left hand side or the right hand side, it's capital D and capital L. Depending upon the optical rotation, you have small d and small l. So capital D and small d are very different. Then we have two more types, epimerism and enomerism. So among the isomerism, we will be discussing just these 5 different types. Now aldoses and ketosis, as we have already gone through, that if the functional group is an aldehyde, you have the sugar with aldo group, so it would be an aldose. If you have a ketonic group, your sugar would be a keto sugar or it would be a ketose. So glucose, aldehyde, fructose, it's a ketose, ribose, again ribose, it's an aldehydic sugar, ribulose, it's a keto form of the 5 carbon sugar. So one of the isomerism is about the functional group. Then we have capital D and capital L isomerism. See, capital D and capital L isomerism is given with reference to a compound that is the smallest carbohydrate, which is a glyceraldehyde. It is taken by convention that if the OH group is rotated towards the right hand side, you can see this red arrow here, and it is your D form. So if it's on the right hand side, it's D glyceraldehyde. If it is on the left hand side, it is L, but D and L not small. They are capital D and capital L. Now, here this is the only carbon that is a chiral carbon. अब chiral तो सब पढ़ के आते हैं ना, chiral का मतलब होता है चारों functional groups जो हैं वो अलग अलग लगे होते हैं. So the only one carbon that has the capability of rotating here is the chiral center, which is the carbon number 2 here and carbon number 2 here. If the OH group, yes, anybody wants to say something? If you have any confusion, you can interrupt in between. That would be better. Okay, so now here you are having just one chiral center, so that's okay because you can rotate just one of the carbon or the OH would be rotated. But if you look for the glucose, how many chiral centers are there for glucose? Is the carbon number 1 chiral? Yes or no? Is carbon number 1?
No.
No. Is carbon number last one, 6th one chiral? No. Okay. Then how many chiral centers are there? Just 4. Among these 4, yes. So 4 chiral centers are there. So number of possible isomers should be 2 to the power 4, that is 16. Glucose is this stage with linear conformation supposed to show 16 isomers. But when we talk about capital D and capital L, then with reference to glyceraldehyde, D and L designation would be given to the penultimate carbon. Penultimate मतलब वो कार्बन जो कायरल हो और फंक्शनल ग्रुप से सबसे दूरी पर हो. तो एल्डिहाइड से सबसे दूर जो कायरल सेंटर है वो कार्बन नंबर 5 है. तो अगर 5 कार्बन 5th कार्बन का OH ग्रुप राइट हैंड साइड पर होगा तो हम उसे कैपिटल डी ग्लूकोज कहेंगे. और अगर कायरल सेंटर जो सबसे दूरी पर है एल्डिहाइड के यानी 5th कार्बन का OH ग्रुप लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पर प्रोजेक्टेड है तो हम उसे कैपिटल L कहेंगे. सो D and L isomerism are dependent on the chiral centers which are farthest or the penultimate chiral center from the functional group. So here it is an aldehyde. So we have capital D and capital L. So glucose would be present in your system in both these two forms, capital D as well as capital L. Then we have small d and small l. Now here, this is based on the rotation of the polarized light. By default, glucose is always dextrorotatory. अब dextrorotatory का मतलब होता है right side. तो ग्लूकोज की ये बाय डिफॉल्ट प्रॉपर्टी होती है कि अगर हम उससे प्लेन पोलराइज्ड लाइट पास करें उसके सोल्यूशन से तो वो हमेशा राइट हैंड साइड की तरफ ही मुड़ जाएगी. कितने एंगल पे मुड़ेगी, that is another story, but it would be rotated towards the right hand side. So glucose is always small d, but it can be present both as capital D and capital L, but it will always be D. So in your clinical settings, when we will go to the ward, you will find out that dextrose infusion is going on. What does this mean? Glucose infusion is going on. So clinical name of glucose is a dextrose. So when dextrose is written, it's a dextrorotatory sugar, and we are having dextrorotatory sugar as glucose. So D and L isomerism is depending upon the optical rotation of the plane polarized light. तो जैसे ग्लूकोज स्मॉल डी है, हमेशा स्मॉल डी ही रहेगा, कभी ग्लूकोज स्मॉल एल फॉर्म में नहीं मौजूद होगा, है ही नहीं ऐसा कोई ग्लूकोज. इसी तरह से फ्रक्टोज हमेशा स्मॉल एल है, इट्स अ लिबोरोटेटरी शुगर. Fructose is no fructose till date is known, which is small d. And if you recall, you might have gone through the statement that sucrose, when it is hydrolyzed by the enzyme sucrase, it is converted to certain compounds, and that is the reason we call sucrose as invert sugar. ऐसा इसलिए होता है क्योंकि उसका इन्वर्जन हो जाता है, क्योंकि वो जब फ्रक्टोज में ब्रेक होता है, ग्लूकोज में ब्रेक होता है, तो फ्रक्टोज डोमिनेट करने लगता है ब्रेक होने के बाद. असलियत में सुक्रोज हमेशा डी रोटेशन शो करता है, डेक्स्ट्रो रोटेटरी, लेकिन जैसे ही वो ब्रेक होता है, फ्रक्टोज डोमिनेट करता है और सोल्यूशन DL फॉर्म में आने लगता है, तो इसलिए इसको हम इन्वर्ट शुगर भी बोलते हैं. तो दिस प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ आइसोमेरिज्म इज अ डिफॉल्ट प्रॉपर्टी, you cannot change it, there is no rotation of OH group here. So small d, when you are writing, you are talking about a dextrorotatory property of a plane polarized light. So if you talk of glucose, glucose can exist both as capital D and capital L, but it will always be a small d. Then we have another thing which we call it as epimerism. Epimerism or epimers are those isomers which differ from one another with respect to just one single carbon atom. One carbon atom, and that too leaving the one which defined capital D and capital L. When we talk of epimerism, see this part of this is the glucose, carbon number 5 having its OH group projected to the right hand side, so it's capital D. In the bracket, if you're writing small d, it would be correct because glucose is always a small d, but it can act as capital D. If you rotate this OH to this side, left hand side, it would be capital L. Now, leaving this carbon number 5, if you observe here, carbon number 2, which was also chiral, which also could be rotated, if the OH group is moving to the left hand side, then this structure and the glucose structure, they differ around just carbon number 2. So when the two sugars, they are differing at the position of just one single carbon atom, and rest whole structure is same. This is also D, this is also D. Rest all the sugars are same. See, by default glucose has carbon number 3 rotated to the left hand side, तो glucose में ये ऐसे ही रहेगा. उसके अलावा अगर हम कोई OH group को rotate कर रहे हैं, then this difference creates an isomer which is known as epimerism. So we can say that mannose is the epimer of glucose at carbon number 2. In the same way, if the OH group of carbon number 4 is rotated to the left hand side, which was at the right hand side of the glucose, then we can say that galactose is the epimer at C4. So glucose has two epimers, mannose at C2 and galactose at C4. But galactose and mannose, these two, they are not epimers of each other because now they are differing at more than one carbon atom. अगर हम इन दोनों के स्ट्रक्चर्स को कंपेयर करें तो मैनोज और गैलेक्टोज में जो डिफरेंस है वो कार्बन नंबर 2 और कार्बन नंबर 4 पे आ गया, तो वो एपीमर की डेफिनेशन को सेटिस्फाई नहीं करेगा क्योंकि एपीमर्स आर दोज कंपाउंड्स व्हिच डिफर अराउंड द रोटेशन एट जस्ट वन कार्बन एटम. So glucose has two epimers, mannose and galactose. You can make points, small points, so that you can follow your book. Then we have another property that is known as enomerism. So when we talk of an enomerism, or anomers, remember this is the isomerism which is only possible in sugars which are able to cyclize. अभी तक जो हमने आइसोमर्स पढ़े थे वो लीनियर फॉर्म तक पॉसिबल थे, साइक्लिक फॉर्म में भी पॉसिबल है, लेकिन जब हम एनोमेरिज्म की बात करेंगे तो ये जब भी एक्शन में आएगा जबकि आपकी शुगर साइक्लाइजेबल होगी, और किसी भी शुगर को साइक्लाइज होने की जो मैंडेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट है, इट शुड हैव नंबर ऑफ कार्बन एटम्स आइदर इक्वल टू 5 or greater than 5. If your sugar is a triose, the sugar is a tetrose, it will not be able to cyclize. So it's not going to show aneurysm. So up 5 or greater than 5 would be cyclizable, and then only the property of aneurysm will come into action. Now what is going to happen is that this carbon number 1 will react with carbon number 5 to rearrange the molecules. Nothing is removed from here because we are talking of isomerism. So no OH is removed, no water molecule is removed, nothing. It's the simple rearrangement. So when this reacts with carbon number 5, we form cyclic structures, and these cyclic structures, they are different from the linear one with respect to one very important thing. Can anybody tell me what is that? What important change is taking place when a sugar is cyclized here? What is it? One hint, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 glucose was forming 16 isomers. Any change that you observe?
32, 31.
Number 1, which was initially not chiral. This has become chiral. So cyclization has resulted in one more chiral center, and therefore once the sugar becomes cyclized, you have increase in the isomeric forms, and so every D would have one alpha, one beta. So that would be doubled. So after cyclization, we can say that glucose has 32 isomers. Now, once the sugar is cyclized, at this particular center, which was your aldehydic sugar, this is now named as a carbonyl sugar. This was your carbonyl sugar, and this is now named as an anomeric sugar. And if the anomeric center has its OH group projected down the plane, अगर नीचे की तरफ है तो ये अल्फा, अगर ऊपर की तरफ है तो ये बीटा. और जितना हम ब्लड शुगर के टेस्ट करते हैं, जो डिपस्टिक से टेस्ट करते हैं, जो इंस्टेंट टेस्ट होते हैं, दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन दिस बीटा कंफर्मेशन. So your instant blood sugar is tested with the help of the beta orientation of the D-glucose. So if the OH group is projected down the plane, you have alpha conformation or alpha anomeric form, and if you're having your OH group projected up the plane that you have, then you are having the beta conformation. So this is what anomerism is all about. Now this cyclization property of glucose, or for that matter different other monosaccharides, they show a very important property which is known as mutarotation. Now just now what we said was that we have alpha D glucose. It's derived from pyrene structure, so we are right, it's written as pyranose. But what you need to specifically remember is that it's D, it's alpha. Now when you keep the solution of alpha D glucose for few hours, dissolved in a very common solvent, water, so water is not going to create any problem. What was observed was that the pure form of alpha D glucose has its specific rotation to 112 degree. But after some time, it changes to 52.5. It's written as plus. Plus is indicating that it is a small d or dextrorotatory sugar. So this is the angle at which the sugar was rotated to the right-hand side. So the pure form of alpha D glucose shows a rotation at 112 degree towards the right-hand side, but which stabilizes to plus 52.5 degree after some time. Then the same thing also happened with the beta D glucose. When the pure form of beta D glucose was kept, it showed a rotation towards the right hand side that was around equal to 19 degree. It's written as 18.57 precisely, but it is taken as 19. Then after some time, again it stabilized at 52.5. So this indicated that the two aneurysm, they are in equilibrium with each other. And it was found that around 36% is the alpha form and 64% is the beta form. So whatever blood sugar we test is the beta form. So this change of rotation of the polarized light and its stability is known as, its equilibrium is known as mutarotation. So mutarotation have to be understood. Many a times a question comes on mutarotation that indicates the angles for the mutarotation of glucose. ग्लूकोज का ही पूछा जाता है सबसे ज्यादा, तो ये दो एंगल आपको याद रखने होंगे, ये परसेंटेजेस याद रखनी होंगी और म्यूटारोटेशन होता क्या. Now coming on to disaccharides. Disaccharides, they are one of the type of an oligosaccharide. But among the oligosaccharide, as we have just now discussed, that disaccharides are the one that are present as the pure carbohydrate form. So in this case, see this diagram, I think it's given, it's not fine because this yellow is glucose. When we combine glucose with galactose, it forms lactose, it's correct. But when we are combining fructose with galactose, it is forming sucrose. So these color codings are incorrect. So going on to the disaccharide, disaccharides are formed when you join two monosaccharide residues. Now remember, whenever two monosaccharide or two amino acids or two small fatty acids are joined, it is always a condensation reaction. Molecule of water would be removed. When you are joining two glucose, it is going to form maltose. If you look at the structure that is given here, this disaccharide, here a glucose is combining with fructose in such a way that carbon number 1, that is anomeric carbon or aldehydic carbon of glucose, is combining with the ketonic group of fructose. This ketonic group of fructose. So this linkage is formed between carbon number 1 and carbon number 2. And that is the reason that it is written as alpha. Why? Because the OH group has to be down the plane in both the cases. So it's alpha 1, 2 glycosidic bond. Why? Because the two sugars, they join together through a bond which is a very strong bond, and that is known as a glycosidic bond. Now, since this glycosidic bond is having O as a center, it is known as an O glycosidic bond. This O is indicating that this is an O glycosidic bond. Molecule of water would be removed. Linkage is alpha 1, 2. And if you remember, sucrose is stated as a non-reducing sugar. Why? Because the aldehyde is gone, the ketone is gone. There is nothing to reduce anything. So sucrose is one of the non-reducing disaccharide. If you talk of maltose, maltose is made up of two glucose. The linkage is alpha 1, 4. So one aldehyde gone, but the second aldehyde remains. And that is the reason that maltose is a reducing sugar. If you talk of lactose, lactose is beta 1, 4 between glucose and galactose. Still, glucose 1 aldehyde linking with the fourth carbon of galactose. So still one of the functional group remains. So maltose plus and lactose, they are reducing in nature because they have one of the functional groups still active. But if you look for the structure of sucrose, then here the carbon number 1 and 2, both the functional groups, they are involved in the formation of a glycosidic bond. So they are no more, it's no more a reducing sugar. So these are the examples. Sucrose is formed by joining glucose plus fructose. Linkage is alpha 1, 2. Lactose is formed by joining a galactose and glucose, beta 1, 4. Now if you see here, this OH down, so the shape of the glycosidic bond when it is alpha linking, it's down the plane. If it is beta linking, it's in this conformation, it's up the plane, starting up. Beta, it's upside. Again, glucose and glucose in alpha 1 4 for maltose, so it's down. 1 for the aldehyde, or जिसको हम अब बोलेंगे anomeric carbon. So this was down the plane, so the bond is starting down. This is the fourth one. This was the first carbon near the oxygen. So this is free. So maltose would be reducing. One more example, cellobiose. Cellobiose is 2-glucose joining in beta-1,4. So cellobiose and maltose, they are going to have the same components, both glucose. But for maltose, it is alpha-1,4. But for cellobiose, it would be again 2-glucose joined together by beta-1,1. Or it many a times in different plant species is also alpha-1,1, but they are both the aldehyde groups are gone. So cellobiose is non-reducing, sucrose is non-reducing, lactose is reducing, maltose is reducing. So now you have 2 examples of reducing and 2 examples of a non-reducing disaccharide. Anybody who could tell me the name of a monosaccharide sugar which is non-reducing in nature? Any one of you?
Fructose.
Which one? Fructose. Now, if your question is asked, write a name of a reducing carbohydrate. You can write down the name of any monosaccharide. If it is asked, write down the name of a reducing carbohydrate. Because all the monosaccharides have their functional groups free. They are not involved in the formation of any type of a bond. So remember, all the monosaccharides are reducing in nature क्योंकि उनका एल्डिहाइड या कीटोन अभी बॉन्ड ही नहीं बना रहा, वो फ्री है तो वो रिड्यूस करेगा. लेकिन डाइसैकराइड में डिपेंड करेगा कि अगर फंक्शनल ग्रुप इन्वॉल्व हो गया बॉन्ड फॉर्मेशन में और दोनों फंक्शनल ग्रुप्स इन्वॉल्व हो गए तो शुगर आपकी रिड्यूसिंग नहीं रहेगी, वो नॉन रिड्यूसिंग हो जाएगी. जैसे सुक्रोज के केस में 1 भी गया ग्लूकोज का और 2 गया फ्रक्टोज का, 1 2, इसलिए सुक्रोज नॉन रिड्यूसिंग है. सो फॉर मोनोसैकराइड्स ऑल द मोनोसैकराइड्स आर रिड्यूसिंग. देयर इज नो मोनोसैकराइड दैट इज नॉन रिड्यूसिंग. ये बात हो गई क्लियर? Okay. Now see, when we talk of the monosaccharide to form a disaccharide, see here, this is the structure. This is the structure of the alpha D glucose. This alpha D glucose is having this anomeric carbon reacting with the 4th alcoholic carbon of another alpha D glucose to form the structure of a maltose. Now here, this carbon number 1 of the second residue of this carbon number 1 of the second residue of glucose is free. So this orientation of the OH group will define this disaccharide as an alpha maltose. तो जिस तरह से कि ग्लूकोज का जो OH ग्रुप डिफाइन कर रहा था कि वो कैसे अल्फा होगा और कैसे बीटा होगा, ऊपर होगा तो बीटा, नीचे होगा तो अल्फा, उसी तरह से जो लेफ्ट आउट OH ग्रुप होगा एनोमेरिक कार्बन का, दैट विल डिफाइन अ डाइसैकराइड वेदर इट इज एन अल्फा डाइसैकराइड और इट इज अ बीटा डाइसैकराइड. द लिंकेज दैट इज फॉर्म्ड हियर इज अ ग्लाइकोसाइडिक लिंकेज. Water is removed here. Remember, every condensation reaction that is involved in the human system, it takes place through the removal of a water molecule. तो यहाँ पर 1,4 linking है. OH group is free here. So this will define the maltose as a reducing sugar. Since the OH group is down the plane, it will act as it is a alpha maltose. अब यहाँ पर ये ग्रुप रोटेट हो सकता है क्योंकि ये फ्री है, ये रिड्यूस भी कर सकता है, ये रोटेट भी हो सकता है. If the projection of OH group is up the plane, then we will say that this is a beta maltose. तो ये डिफाइन करेगा कि इसका स्ट्रक्चर क्या है. Now, if you look at these colors, this is a test shown for the Benedict's test. Benedict's test करा होगा ना 11th-12th में? कोई है जिसने नहीं किया? Anybody who is not aware of the Benedict's test? Okay, even if you have not done, remember this is a test of a reducing sugar. So Benedict's test, this is the first test tube is showing a blue color. This is for the copper sulfate, which is a component of a Benedict's reagent. And this is blue. If you are adding a reducing sugar to this solution, it reduces the cupric ions and convert it into cuprous oxide. Cuprous oxide is red in color. But Benedict's test is taken as a semi-quantitative test. And this is, remember, a very important test, and it is also known as a bedside test. तो जब आप मेडिसिन के वार्ड में जाएंगे, you will see that there is a small lab that is prepared and urine is tested for the presence of sugar with the help of this Benedict's test, because this will give you an indication whether the patient is coming into coma because of the hyperglycemia or is it because of starvation. If the sugar is testing positive, sorry, if the urine is positive for the reducing sugar, it means that it is hyperglycemic coma. डायबिटीज, अनकंट्रोल डायबिटीज की वजह से वो कोमा में है। तो जो बेनेडिक्ट्स टेस्ट है, इसमें हमें 3 कलर यहाँ पर नजर आ रहे हैं। अगर ग्रीन है तो भी वो पॉजिटिव है, ऑरेंज है तो भी पॉजिटिव है, येलो है तो भी पॉजिटिव है, रेड है तो भी पॉजिटिव है। It is known as a semi-quantitative test because the color is an indicator of the percentage of sugar that is present. The greater the percentage, the higher or the more intense is the color. So from green to red, all the 4 are positive for the Benedict's test, and every reducing sugar will give a positive Benedict's test. So all the monosaccharides would test positive, and few of the disaccharides, they are going to be positive, and very few monosaccharides would be able to do this thing. Polysaccharides, sorry. So to just summarize it, we can say that monosaccharides, they are imparting flavor to the food. Disaccharides, they have the transport form. So the lactose, sucrose, and maltose, they are disaccharides. Polysaccharides, they are stored in the human system, they are stored in the plant system. So glycogen is the storage form of a polysaccharide. Now, see, small questions or small MCQs are asked to this portion. Usually not a big question does not come from this portion. So some fill up the blanks are asked, like say, for example, name any 2 monosaccharides. So you can say glucose and mannose. Mannose is a monosaccharide. Maltose is a
Disaccharide.
Disaccharide.
So glucose and mannose, monosaccharides. Name any 2 reducing sugar. So you can name any monosaccharide. It's written as sugars. Okay. Name any 2 reducing disaccharides. अब पूछ रहा है कि 2 बताओ जो reducing हो. तो ये आंसर
Maltose
सही
and
है.
lactose.
Yes. So this answer, sucrose and trehalose, is incorrect.
Wrong.
So, okay. So sucrose and trehalose and cellobiose, they are non-reducing in nature. So this answer is not correct. So sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. Trehalose is a non-reducing sugar. तो आप कोई भी 2 reducing और कोई भी 2 non-reducing disaccharide याद कर सकते हैं. ज्यादातर यही questions पूछे जाते हैं और इसमें से कोई बड़ा question नहीं आता इस portion से. Now, what are the components and linkage that is present between a sucrose? So it's glucose and fructose. Linkage is alpha 1, 4. Name 2 polysaccharides that give negative iodine test. Iodine test is done to detect the presence of a polysaccharide. So polysaccharide would test positive for iodine test provided that it is branched. Cellulose and iluline, they are linear in nature. So they are the 2 polysaccharides which are not branched. And when they are not branched, the test would be negative. Name 2 homopolysaccharides. Homo का मतलब होता है कि जो सेम, अभी ये हम next lecture में देखेंगे homo और heteropolysaccharides क्या होते हैं. So starch and glycogen, they are made up of same units, so they are homopolysaccharides. Okay. Now see, this is just an overview to understand glucose is present in your body. Remember at this stage that whenever a monosaccharide is there, in terms of a monosaccharide, we are focused on glucose because ultimately everything would be converted to glucose. So glucose has the capability of undergoing different reactions. So remember just this thing. Glucose, if it is reduced, it is converted to alcohol, and this alcohol is known as sorbitol. Now you can write down these questions. 2 anomers of glucose. Anomer पूछा है तो alpha, beta. Sorbitol, alcoholic form of glucose. Mannose का alcoholic form, mannitol. अगर पूछे कि what are the 2 epimers of glucose, it's mannose and galactose. And if you talk of glycogen, remember one thing at this point, glycogen contains a very small protein that acts as a primer protein. and this is known as glycogenin. That's all. If you have any questions, you can ask. Any questions from your side?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Am I
Yes.
audible to you?
Very clearly.
Ma'am, please once more repeat about the sweeteners. You were talking about
Sweeteners.
sweeteners. So just
Yes.
artificial.
See, artificial sweet. See, we have because we are focused right now on carbohydrates, so I'm talking about the sweeteners which belong to the class of carbohydrate. Okay. So among the carbohydrate, we are using glucose. It's sweet. So it's a natural sweetener. It provides calorie to your system. We have fructose. Again, it is sweet, but it is metabolized. It gives you energy. So it's providing calories. So sweeteners, they are both natural sweeteners and artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners are synthesized. The purpose is that they may give taste, sweet taste to your food. They are added to provide sweetness, but they are given to control this weight gain. They are given to overcome obesity. So in terms of calories, they are zero in calories. They are not metabolized by your body. So no calorie is generated. Like if you talk of a carbohydrate, artificial sweetener, it is saccharin, very common. बेकरी प्रोडक्ट्स क्योंकि वो बहुत हाई टेम्परेचर पे बेकिंग की जाती है, देन इट इज एस सल्फेम. इट्स वेरी स्टेबल एट वेरी हाई टेम्परेचर, सो इट्स एस सल्फेम. ओके, एनीथिंग एल्स? यस,
प्रोटीन
स्पेयरिंग बता दीजिए.
प्रोटीन स्पेयरिंग. देखिए, प्रोटीन स्पेयरिंग का मतलब होता है कि हमारी बॉडी में जो प्रोटीन्स हैं उनका मेन काम होता है कि वो कोई फंक्शनल काम करें. जैसे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शंस होते हैं प्रोटीन के, मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन, मसल प्रोटीन बन गया. एंजाइम्स हैं, मेटाबॉलिज्म करा. इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन्स हैं, इम्यूनिटी प्रोवाइड करी. तो उनका ये काम, अगर उनका ब्रेकडाउन शुरू हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा? जो उनका काम था कि वो इम्यूनिटी प्रोवाइड करे, वो मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन में हेल्पफुल हो या वो एंजाइम्स बनाए, वो नहीं हो पाएगा क्योंकि वो डाइवर्ट हो गए कि अब उन्हें ब्रेक करो, एनर्जी दो. क्यों एनर्जी दो? क्योंकि वाइटल सिस्टम्स को एनर्जी चाहिए सर्वाइवल के लिए. लेकिन अगर आपका सिस्टम कार्बोहाइड्रेट से सप्लाइड होगा, एडिक्वेट होगा, तो प्रोटीन्स को छोड़ दिया जाएगा कि भाई तुम जाओ एंटीबॉडीज बनाओ, अमीनो एसिड्स जाएं एंजाइम्स बनाएं, अमीनो एसिड्स जाएं मेम्ब्रेन प्रोटीन्स बनाएं, रिसेप्टर्स बनाएं, हार्मोन्स बनाएं. तो उनको हम नहीं तोड़ेंगे, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं. वो जब भी टूटने के उस पे आते हैं जबकि सिस्टम स्टार्विंग, तब प्रोटीन को यूज किया जाता है. तो क्या कह रहे हैं कि अगर कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स प्रेजेंट हैं तो दे स्पेयर द प्रोटीन, वो प्रोटीन को छोड़ देते हैं. तो प्रोटीन स्पेयरिंग एक्शन इज वन ऑफ द फंक्शन ऑफ अ कार्बोहाइड्रेट, दैट दे लीव द प्रोटीन, दे स्पेयर द प्रोटीन, so that the purpose of energy provision is done by carbohydrate. The functional component that are important, different functions of a protein, that is done by the amino acids. They form different other proteinaceous components so that your system should not be functionally compromised as. Yes, ये हुई बात समझ में आई? ये बात
ma'am, can capital D and capital L glucose be considered as epimers?
capital D and capital L are not epimers. Okay, DLN हम डेजिग्नेट करते हैं पेनल्टीमेट कार्बन से, और ये एक तरीके का स्टीरियो आइसोमेरिज्म टाइप है जो केमिस्ट्री में पढ़ते थे ना, इनैंशियोमर्स और ये वाला टाइप. इसके अलावा अगर हम OH को रोटेट करेंगे और वो भी सिंगल कार्बन एटम पे, तब हम इसे एपिमर कहेंगे. लेकिन कुछ जगहों पर आइडो शुगर होती है, तो अगर हम ग्लूकोज का 5th एपिमर का नाम दें तो 5th एपिमर इज आइडोज. बट अगेन एट दिस स्टेज remember it's D and L at carbon number 5. Rest rotations will generate epimers. That will be more clear and understandable, वरना बहुत ओवरलैप होगा. तो बेहतर ये है कि जो पेनल्टीमेट कार्बन का रोटेशन है कायरल सेंटर का, उससे हम डी और एल बनाएंगे और उसके अलावा जो है एक एक कार्बन पे रोटेशन करेंगे तो एपीमर बनेगा। ठीक है, वरना उसका नाम आइडोज होता है, वो भी गलत नहीं है।
मैम सेल्यूलोज और इन्युलिन क्यों नहीं शो करता है आयोडीन टेस्ट?
अच्छा बेटा, इसलिए नहीं करता कि वो है तो पॉलीसेकेराइड, लेकिन आयोडीन को OH ग्रुप से रिएक्ट करके कलर फॉर्म करने के लिए कहीं ट्रैप होना पड़ता है, और इस ट्रैप होने के लिए उसको एक ब्रांच ट्रैपिंग केज चाहिए। ग्लाइकोजन एक ब्रांच स्ट्रक्चर है, स्टार्च में अमाइलोज लीनियर होता है, अमाइलोपेक्टिन ब्रांच मिल जाता है। तो जो भी पॉलीसेकेराइड है जिसमें अगर ब्रांचिंग मौजूद है तो वो आयोडीन को ट्रैप कर लेगा, और ट्रैप्ड आयोडीन OH से रिएक्ट करता रहेगा और वो कलर फॉर्म कर लेगा। जितना इंटेंस कलर आएगा उतनी हायर ब्रांचिंग होगी। तो ग्लाइकोजन जो है वो आयोडीन के साथ रेड कलर देता है, स्टार्च ब्लू देता है, डेक्स्ट्रिन बहुत लाइट ब्लू देता है, लेकिन जो सेल्यूलोज है वो लीनियर है, तो वो फिर ट्रैप नहीं कर पाता। जब वो ट्रैप नहीं कर पाता तो वो रिलीज हो जाता है, तो कलर फॉर्मेशन नहीं।
थैंक यू मैम।
ठीक है, ओके, so we should stop here.
Ma'am,
Okay.
please share the PPT on WhatsApp group.
You want it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll see. So I'm exiting it. I'm ending the call, okay?